Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome to another Pride and Grit Spouse Spotlight. I am excited tonight to bring you Alicia Henderson, who I am interested myself to learn what she does and about her journey as a military spouse. So, without further ado, here's Alicia. So, welcome for joining us. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Spotlights.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here and I'm ready to have fun.
Great. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I know just like, I feel like I know this much. So tell me a little bit about you and your kind of military spouse journey, kind of the highlight reel, if you will.
Okay, so I met my husband in 2004 in San Diego. San Diego's a big military county. It's a county.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, people think it's a city, but it's a county. And I'm from San Diego, so I know.
Oh, okay.
There's about 6 military bases there.
Oh,
You
really?
try to avoid the military bases and military, but you can't. So my husband is a Marine, and we've been married since 2005. He's been deployed several times. Uh, he's that journey is interesting to be a military spouse, but to be a Marine Corps spouse is really very interesting. He was a Marine Corps drill instructor, and Marine Corps drill instructors are different from the other drill instructors in other branches. That's totally different lifestyle. We did that. We have 3 kids, and my husband was medically retired in 2013, 2015,
Okay.
due to a traumatic brain injury that resulted in from a motorcycle accident.
Oh, wow.
So we've been living the retired life ever since.
Yeah.
We just had a conversation yesterday that if he were still in, he would only have 2 years left
Right.
because he wanted to do the full 20.
Yeah.
It was kind of like he was born to be a Marine. I don't know if people hear that, but it was like that's who he is.
Sure.
That's what he does. What he does. So now we're just living the retired life. I'm a business strategist, and he's now a personal trainer.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
That makes
So
sense. That seems like a good fit.
yeah, he actually like some of his clients like for him to use the whole drill
Oh.
instructor thing on him. I was like, no, not on me. Not gonna happen with me when I'm working out. So you make sure you do it with your clients and not over here.
It's
But
funny.
that's the highlight reel. Marine
Yeah.
Corps spouse for a while. We still where we live right now, which is a county above San Diego in Riverside County. We're still military. This is probably half
Oh,
military town. We still have friends who are in the military. All of our friends probably right now only have a few years left, like we did, as far as
yeah.
retiring. Um,
So you
so
probably
we're all
still
still
feel
connected.
like you're still part of that community because you haven't stepped
Yes,
outside of it. So yes, you're retired, but you're still, get to kind of get all the benefits, if you will.
yes, you
Of,
still get the benefits. You're still using military hospitals and military facilities, military insurance. You're still around friends who are military. People can tell you're a military family
hmm.
or your spouse is in the military, even if you don't have stickers or decals on your
Right,
car.
right,
So we haven't left.
right.
So we haven't left the community, and it's interesting when I say, "Oh my," people ask me, "Is he active duty or is he retired?" And I'm talking to another spouse, and especially online, and then I go, "Oh, he's retired." They go, "Oh." And I'm like, honey, trust me, I know I've been doing this longer than you have since 2005. So I know I've had a kid when my husband was deployed, so I know all the things
Hmm.
about deployments. We're just not doing it right now.
Yeah,
Praise
yeah,
God for
right. No,
that.
been there, done that. So
Yes.
how has that transition been for you? Because you didn't really go far um, in your sort of the transition into retired life. I've heard, over the course that I've been doing this, I've run into just a handful of guests that are retired as well, and it's always interesting to get their perspective on, kind of what they were surprised by, what they kind of didn't anticipate going into that stage of life, and certainly for you, medically doing it perhaps a little earlier than anticipated, but what's been your kind of biggest learning out of that transition that you could offer?
The biggest learning, uh, the biggest learning out of that transition, I can say, is that things obviously aren't going to be the same
Mm-hmm.
and to not expect it to be where it's going to be a smooth process.
Right.
Um, for when you're medically retired, it's a little different
Mm-hmm.
because they do try to help you out
Right.
a lot. So you already know what your rating is going to be before you retire versus a lot of people who do this by serving the full 20, they don't do their rating until after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like 6 months until they get an answer. But when they start this process for you, ahead of time.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I
there's
didn't realize that. Okay.
Yes. So there's a difference. Like there's a lot of hand holding when you're medically retired because they want to make sure that they give you the best. Like a lot of people who are medically retired, they're medically retired for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're medically retired, those reasons are often from a traumatic experience.
Right.
So they already know that you're going through something with your spouse already having some big ordeal. You're the caregiver now, so you have to take care of a lot of responsibility
Mm.
in addition to your kids and what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to make it as smooth as possible.
Mm.
So for us, we didn't have to wait however long to find out our
Yeah.
rating because we already knew. And then they tell you, okay, when you retire, you can either get this pay from the VA or you get you get from the DoD, and you choose the one as far as pay that's going to give you the best option. And usually it's the VA because they're going to pay you more and it's not taxable. So
Mm.
you have to know those things
Yeah,
and you have to
there's
pay
so many
attention.
there's so
There's
many
so many
details. I
things.
mean, that's what I consistently hear is that people often don't they underestimate just how many details have to be thought through and how many are connected, and so you have to think
Mm-hmm.
through this because then it's going to lead you down either this path or this path. And so it is I mean it is definitely a process, and but it's good to hear that you guys have felt, well supported in that overall.
Oh yes, we felt well supported, and because I understand how this process goes, if I'm in a group and I know someone's asking those questions, I can say, "Hey," especially if
Gotcha.
they are
Yeah.
in in the area where we were, like located in San Diego. We were at Balboa Hospital
Mm.
first, and then we moved over to Camp Pendleton, the Wounded Warriors, and so I know. Advocates and connections at both of those places, so I can say, "Hey, get in touch with this person because they helped us out. Get in touch with that person if they're still there. They can advocate for you."
Yeah.
So the biggest thing if you're doing a military or a medical retirement is to have an advocate or be the advocate for
Mm.
yourself.
Yeah, that's good
And
advice.
to be the advocate because sometimes your spouse can't speak up for themselves. So you have to be the advocate. So that's what I would, the biggest transition that I would see is just, prepare yourself to have all these things come your way and make decisions, but to be an advocate for yourself and understand what that means,
Right.
because you're going to have a lot of stuff going on. So that was my biggest thing is
Yeah.
just to be an advocate for yourself.
No, that's really great advice because I imagine too, when you have an advocate for things like that, they're going to be able to kind of help you with your blind spots and help you see the things you
Mm-hmm.
can't see that are coming or the decisions you need to make or those contingencies. So no, that's really good. So let me ask you this, so kind of similarly, if you kind of take a turn back to that your time when you were active duty overall for your military spouse life, under active duty, what would you say is probably I guess the thing you valued the most about the time that you guys did spend on active duty, and then the thing that you found the hardest during those years?
The thing I value the most would be the friendships.
Mm.
My husband, like a lot, I know a lot of people. My husband actually worked with people that I enjoyed their spouses.
Yeah.
A
Oh
lot
yeah.
of people, they work with people and they don't, when they meet their spouse's friends, they don't gel well with the
Mm.
spouses, that their friends have or whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No,
But
I know
I
what you
actually
mean.
liked my husband's his friends' spouses.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all hung out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's the
that
best.
helped
Yeah.
a lot.
Absolutely.
So that helped a lot. And it was, when my husband deployed, when I was pregnant, one of them was able to come and take care of our car window. Another one was there when he was on workups before he deployed to take me to the hospital, when I wasn't feeling well when I was pregnant. So I enjoyed the friendships,
Mm-hmm.
and we still have those friendships today. So that was one of my biggest things that I enjoyed about military life was that the friendships. I know a lot of people can say, they don't like there's all this drama, but I actually enjoyed the
Yeah.
friendships that we made. The thing that I didn't enjoy, the
Or what was just the hardest, would you say?
hardest would be, I think the hardest thing would be the deployments,
Mm.
but also now you could probably witness a birth when your spouse is
Mm-hmm.
deployed, but back then, as
Right.
I say, I've been doing this for a while, you couldn't do it.
Sure.
You couldn't be, they wouldn't be able to witness the birth. So we had to call the fro, because they were called fros at the time, at least in the Marine Corps. Uh, the fro was the spouse of the first sergeant. And so thankfully he had took his cell phone over there, and we were able to call her. She was able to call her husband, and they were able to get my husband on the phone in time for the birth. So I would say just missing births,
Yeah. Missing those big events.
missing the big events.
Yeah.
That was the least favorite thing about it.
No, for sure. I think that's definitely, definitely true
I think
for
probably for a
everybody.
lot of people.
Like, everybody, nobody wants to miss out on those things, including the service member. That's hard for
Yeah.
everybody. Okay, so let's shift. Thank you for all that. I love just kind of getting just a different perspective from different people. But let's shift a little bit to talk about what you're doing now and the business that you have, and kind of where the motivation for that came from, what you saw as the need, and what you were hoping to kind of fill with your business.
Okay. So I'm a business strategist, an online marketing strategist, where I teach women how to market their businesses online. So I coach them with through courses, one-to-one coaching or group coaching on how they can start, grow, and build a successful business. Currently, my clients are either in the emerging stages
Mm-hmm.
of being an entrepreneur, or they're already have an established business and they're in the growth stage, or they're going into the growth stage and they want to grow their business. So what we do is we work on knowing the right marketing strategies for their business. They have the business foundations. They're already past, oh, should I have what type of entity to
Sure.
start? They're past that. Like
Right.
I don't even answer those questions because I'm not. That's just like I don't even do what's best for you,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
But they want to know because when we market our businesses, we do a bunch of things. And when you start your business, we have every hat under the sun, unless you have $1 million to start your business. We're wearing every hat under the sun. We're the accountant, we are the marketer, we
Mm-hmm.
are the social media person, we are the person that provides the service, because I work with service-based businesses. So I became a business and online marketing strategist because I started a medical billing company back in 2009 when
Oh.
my husband was active duty. And the reason why I did that was because I worked in the financial industry before then. And when my husband deployed, I'm like, I'm not having this baby and having this job. And I'm not dealing with these fools at this job, because I did not like it. I did not like the people I work with, I should say, those at that current location. So I quit, and I said, I'm going to finish my degree while he's deployed, and I'm going to start a business. I don't know what kind. So I researched, and I found medical billing.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, don't do it the way that I did, but I started it with no experience medical billing. I just knew that's what I was going to do. So I researched it, I learned it, I took a course on it, and then I found a mentor by chance, and she, mentored me out of her free time.
That's
And
awesome.
I know. And she would always tell me, Alicia, why don't you teach people how to market their business? Because you're really good at that. And I was always teaching her, oh, I learned this strategy, or oh, I did this, or whatever. And my medical billing company was growing. I had clients all over the United States, and I really started it because we didn't know if we were going to get stationed in Japan, or
Where,
at Lejeune or something. We're on the West Coast, so I wanted that business to be able to go anywhere that could go with me. And I knew if I worked even in Japan, like I could still be working in the middle of the night, but it'd be daytime with my clients.
Right.
So I needed that business to go anywhere that I wanted to go. And plus, I started my business because I wanted to furnish our home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my husband came back from deployment. I like nice things. I like going to Hobby Lobby and Kirkland's and, Home Goods. So, I wanted to do that. And I didn't want to put my daughter in daycare either. So I wanted to have money. And honestly, the pay for military is not the way it was back in 2005 or 2009. It's come up a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
So because it's come up a little bit,
yeah.
you living on one paycheck is just not going to get it. So I started that company, my medical billing company, and I had it for 7 years. We started it here in my house, and I had employees coming in. We had interns coming in. Eventually, we got a office suite that was outside of my house, which was good. And then it was like after we got the office suite and I had my team there and we had the accounts and everything was going good, I just started feeling like this was not going to be the thing I wanted to do anymore. I couldn't even breathe. Even though my clients had account managers that were working their accounts, everybody was calling me. I couldn't have a sales conversation, or I had a client calling me, asking me for something. I couldn't even get up and go to the bathroom. If we wanted to take days off, and my life my business, any business that I have, it evolves and revolves around my kids.
Right.
Point blank, period. I don't do anything. I don't have anything that moves if my kids aren't taken care of first, their schedules, and then I do my business. That's how it works. That's how I've always done and set up everything. And it was like they couldn't realize that. And if I wanted to take time off with them, you know, so I said, okay, this is getting to be too much. And I was telling my business bestie at the time, I don't want to do this anymore, but right. I know I just can't leave the business the way that it is. So what I did was I gave like 2 months notice that we were going to shut down. I gave one of my employees who had been with me for a long time, I gave her one of our largest accounts, and I sold the rest of the business. And I was done. And I had already started mentoring, and I left a big part out of this. There were women who were coming to me because they had saw me marketing my business, my medical billing company, who also had their own medical billing company. And they had saw me and they would see me on LinkedIn, because I was getting a lot of my clients from LinkedIn. And they were asking me, Alicia, how are you able to market your business? How do you have these clients? And they were seeing the clients interact with me in the groups on LinkedIn, and they were referring business to me, and they were just watching the conversations. And so I said, well, this is what I was doing. And, I said, you have to be past your LLC or whatever decision you want to make and getting a business license. And they were still stuck on that. I said, you need to take action. Action is not going to help you do anything. If you don't take action, you're not going to do anything. Inaction is not going to help you do anything. I don't really care about that question about your LLC or your EIN. I don't care about that. That's not even a part of marketing. That is below the basics of a foundation of business. Like that stuff, that's, the foundations for having a business is having your service, knowing what you want to offer, who you're going to offer to, and knowing the problem that your clients have and how you're going to solve it. That's like the base 101 of business.
Right.
So, they came to me and I'm like, okay, so I'm like telling them, okay, this is what you can do. This is what I do. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't have the time to do two things at the same time. Let me make this official. So let me start coaching women on how to do this. And so I started that in 2015. And in June of 2016 is when I sold the business. And from there, I've never looked back. And I love helping women learn the right way for their business to market and reach their clients, learn how to grow, know the strategies that work for them, and, hold them accountable and just coach them and consult them as they go.
It's an interesting thing, though, like as an entrepreneur, that, you were successful at building this business and and not, I don't know if there's such a thing as too successful, but right, like you were successful enough that you were busy beyond your vision and beyond what you wanted. And it's, and I imagine that's got to be this kind of weird place to be, right? This is what you wanted to succeed in this, and now you have, and now you're going, okay, wait a minute, I'm not sure if this is what I want forever. I'm not sure if this is what I want my path on. But something you said that I really love, because I've heard this a couple of times, and I think it's really important, is this idea that sometimes it's not until we get into something that we realize we're actually good at something else.
Mm-hmm.
So you were into this medical billing and you were really good at it and you had your business, but in the course of that, you learned you had this other skill set that would serve you differently and allow you to serve the community differently.
Yes.
Which is really like that. I love that kind of stuff, because I think sometimes, I don't know, it's easy to feel like, oh, well, I don't know where this is going to go, so I'm not going to do that. But you just like rolled with it. And then in the end, it ended up giving you something wonderful that you've been able to now build as well, and has given you new opportunities. So what is, like, from 2015 on, what have been some of your, I guess, not lessons, but kind of like, what are the things that you've really learned about working with women and working through this marketing? What are some of like the key things that you feel like people were really, I don't know, missing, if you will, in how they're approaching their business marketing?
I feel that often one thing people are missing is action. They're not taking action, and they're not taking action because of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And this also can be when it comes to being a military spouse, when we have our own careers and we're supporting our spouse, but we don't take action to finish our degree
Mm-hmm.
or to start a business, because we have to support our spouse and support our kids until we get put on the back burner. But one thing as an entrepreneur looking, action is one thing people do not take. They operate in a sense of fear when it comes to marketing or their business because they're just afraid. We were afraid to put ourselves out there. We're
Mm-hmm.
afraid to
Afraid to fail.
make a sale. We're
Yeah.
afraid to tell people what it is that we do. And oftentimes we have people who can help us build our business, like just by chance. Even if we said, "Hey, this is who I am, and this is what I do," and you'd be amazed at how many clients you could get, or who people can send to you
Mm-hmm.
if you told people what it is
Right.
that
What
you
you
do.
do.
Yeah, if you told people what it is that you do. And I think a lot of fear of that comes from, we have a lot of people who do certain businesses, certain things, maybe it's network marketing. And
Mm-hmm.
because people have presented something to us in the wrong way that didn't feel good, or they were always entering our inboxes, or the only time they talk to you is when they want to sell you a product, whatever they're pushing, that's why we shy away.
Yeah. No,
So
I
that's
think there
one
is some
reason,
truth.
one thing that I see from 2015 to now, that there's a lot of happening there is inaction, fear, uh, just feeling that we're just afraid to sell.
Mm.
And I have my own podcast, and I did like a impromptu, because we are during this pandemic. People are afraid to sell right now because
Yeah.
they're being told that as a small business you shouldn't be selling, and that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You should be selling every day in a way that feels good for you, in a way that in speaking to your ideal client and speaking to your ideal audience. And I feel as another reason why people are being told that they shouldn't sell, because they're selling to the wrong people.
Sure.
So there's a lot of lessons that I
Oh, I
learned
know.
since
Like, yeah, I mean, we could
2015.
we could talk for hours, I'm
Oh,
sure.
we
But
could talk for hours,
yeah,
but
no, but
in action.
those are big ones, and I think I was at another interview I was doing. We were talking about like the impact of kind of an imposter syndrome that people
Mm-hmm.
have, and I think at varying points maybe we've all been guilty of that, but it really can have such an impact on your ability to kind of put yourself out there in a way that I really wish it didn't, but I get it. I get that it is a challenge people have. And to your point, like if you're in a pool where there are a lot of people doing similar things, it's really easy to feel like, oh, well, that person's been doing this for 4 years. I just started. I couldn't possibly, how could I sort of outsell, if you will, the other person? And instead of competing with that person, just do you and just,
Yes.
tell your story and tell why you, believe your product or your course or your, whatever it is that your business is rooted around, you feel like that is in service to your client. That's the story that you want to focus on. And then it sort of sells itself, if
Right.
you've got it aligned with the right person and the right product, it will sell itself.
Yes. And I always say stay in your lane. Like stay, and not in a negative way.
Yeah,
Because
no.
there's power in staying in your own lane. Like if you I always my friend will say, did you see this person's post? Or do you see what that person said that they had, like, back in it, and it's been this thing where people say, well, I had a 70K launch and I had a 10K month. And I always tell people and tell my clients, look, you don't know what it took for that person to have a launch that's $70,000
Right,
that they made,
right.
because you don't even know if that's how, if they made $70,000, they can only have $10,000 from that whole launch because they spent so much money.
Sure.
So if you stay in your lane, you won't get distracted. And
Yeah.
a lot of people get distracted by what their competitors are doing. So they don't even start, they don't even do anything, they don't even get as far as they could go. But if you have power in your own lane of what it is that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and if you work with the imposter syndrome issue that you have, and you keep going, when you have your head down, you'll get wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
And
No.
so, like, that's a part of the imposter syndrome. For me, like, I teach Facebook Live. I love it. And I've done over 400 Facebook Lives. And I
Do
feel like
you
it's just,
really? 400?
yes, yeah, I have over 400 combined, whether it's on my Facebook business page and Facebook groups that I've owned. I have it might be close to in the mid 450s now, maybe close to 500. But I love it. I feel like it's a great way, in addition to podcasting.
Yeah.
I always say, if you're going to have a business and you're going to market your business, it needs to be the way that you shine. A lot of people blog, but they're not good bloggers and they hate to do it. So if you hate
Right.
doing it, and you know that you perform better, whether it's on video or speaking, do something like this. Do a Facebook Live, get on YouTube, start a podcast, because that's going to help you be more consistent and build your like, know, and trust factor. And people are going to know you way better than they would with you writing a blog. And that's
So
just what I say, vice
the
versa.
the podcast that you said you started, what is the I guess what's sort of the theme of that, and what's the audience for that? Is that just folks who want marketing tips, or what? Tell me a
Well,
little bit more about that.
it's called the Empirenista Business Success Podcast. I call all of my tribe Empirenistas because I'm all about empire. And so what I decided to do in 2009 was to build an empire and a legacy for my kids. And so it's really for business women who have businesses that are in different stages. They can be newbies, they can be in business over, like me, for 11 years. But we talk about business, family, girl chat, inspiration. I do have guests that come on and talk about the things that they do. So we do talk about different marketing strategies. We talk about different aspects of business. We'll talk about mindset. Right now, we've just been talking about the different strategies for marketing your business. And then I was talking about how we have 2 episodes that are coming out. Don't be afraid to sell during this pandemic. And the other one is about, should you pivot in your business? So a lot of people right now think you have to pivot in your business, but you don't. You can make some adjustments to your audience, and you can still keep operating. But I talk about in that episode, here are some reasons why you should pivot, and here are some reasons why you shouldn't pivot. Like, just because some guru says that you have to do something doesn't mean that you have to do it. If it's not in where you want to go with your business,
Right.
and it's not going to help your clients in this moment, or even after this moment when it's all over, maybe if it does ever end, where they're going to be then. So we talk about that. So it's really, I talk a lot about being a mom and a business owner, and a lot of my podcasts sometimes they're in the car loop. I just pull out my phone and I record it on the voice memo.
Right.
But I'm really honest, and it's a no fluff type of podcast where I just tell it like it is. And I feel like in business, with all the big podcasts, they always talk about, nice things and how to's, but they're not really transparent, and they don't talk about the nasty part of business. And I like to talk about the nasty part because I've been through nasty parts of business.
Well, and those are the parts that make it hard to, keep wanting to go at it. Like it's, if you don't anticipate that those difficult moments are coming, then they surprise you and they catch you off guard, and they kind of, I think, can kind of derail your vision a little bit because you weren't expecting them. So I think talking about those, I think it's true in everything, right? Like not just business, but, like military spouse life, same thing, right? Like if we don't ever talk about what's hard about it, we can't prepare ourselves for if that moment would come. Not that we have to fear it, but just that we have some skills around what other people are doing in those moments so that we can apply those same tools, if we were to end up in that situation. So no, I think it's so important to talk about all of it, not just the sort of the sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. You get a lot of them talking about, like I said, 10K months and this and that. And like I noticed a lot of people were talking about how to recession proof your business, and they didn't have a business back in the recession. So I thought, what are you talking about? All you're doing is regurgitating information that you Googled because you don't have the experience of having a business during a recession. So I just, that's sort of stuff. Like I even mentioned that in the podcast. Like I'm not trying to be shady, but hey, You might want to think about who you're getting the information from, and if they even have the experience of operating a business during a recession, because they're just talking about things that someone told them or they Googled.
Right. And yeah, right. And yeah, I find it so hard because I feel like because everybody's home and and to your point, like there's a lot of this talk right now about pivoting, and so it it is hard not to take that in and feel like if you're not doing that, you're doing something wrong, because
Mm-hmm.
the noise, if you will, and all the conversation is around how necessary that is. At least it seems like that to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm like live in a bubble,
Well,
but it really, to your point, maybe it's not necessary. It all depends on what your end state is. It all depends on what your success looks like. It all depends on your vision,
yes.
and if you stay grounded in those, then you'll know if you need to pivot or not. you
Yes,
know?
you'll know, and your audience will tell you, your clients will tell you, and this is why I always say it's good to have like a community or someone that you can bounce ideas out of, whether it's like a business group online or a coach or a consultant or a mentor, somebody that is stages ahead of you,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to always bounce ideas off of people who are below, and not in a negative
Yeah.
way, in the sense of below you, but who are
No,
not
no.
at your level,
Yeah, they haven't gotten there
or
yet.
at the same level.
Yeah.
So they haven't been there, so they don't know. So it's like taking advice from someone who's never done what you're trying to do.
Right.
You're not going to get good advice.
Yeah.
So you're spot on when you're hearing people say that you should pivot, and you have no idea what that looks like either, or if it's even something that your business should do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like a lot of times, like I said, you hear people say don't sell, that's just baloney at this point in time. We all have a business, we all have families, and you got to sell.
Right.
What do they expect you to do? Not sell, so then you're not having a business. And if you don't have sell, you have an expensive hobby, you don't have a business.
Right. I think I currently have an expensive hobby. It's all good. So tell me, like, as I was just thinking, like, as a strategist, if someone was curious about using a strategist, or what is it that I mean, you've kind of explained it a little bit, but I'm just kind of trying to think if someone is like, well, I don't know if I need that person. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know. Is she going to tell me what I need to do, or is she going to help me figure out what I need to do? Like, how does that relationship tend to go, and is there a lot of variation in it?
I think there's variations, because there's generalists, and then there's people who specialize. So one thing that you want to do when you're looking for anyone is you want to look for where they are in their business. Are they ahead of you? And you want to look for, are they doing something that I want to do?
Mm,
Or are they somewhere where they have freedom and they can do whatever they want in their business, or they have the time to do this, that, and the other. You just want to take a look at where they are in their business and what they have accomplished. Or you like what they're saying and you like their vibe. Now, a strategist or a coach, they can do both. They can tell you what to do, and they can guide you, but you have to be asking the questions. You've got to know, for one, what it is that you want to do.
right.
You've got to be clear on, or at least have an idea. You have to at least have an idea. And then when you do find someone that you want to work with, you got to make sure that you're applying the stuff that they told you to do to your business, because a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people say, oh, I work with this person, I had this coach, and it didn't work out. Well, what was it that they told you to do is what
Right.
I want to hear.
Yeah.
And what did you actually do it? And
Right.
not one time that you did it one time. I want to hear that you did it 20 times.
Sure.
Because then if you did it 20 times versus one time I'm going to say, you didn't know what you're doing. Don't even talk to me about what this other person told you and it didn't work out, because that's your fault. No. What the problem is that many people, when they get a strategist or a mentor, they think that, oh, I'm going to get to that person's level overnight, and
Mm,
I'm going to know exactly what to do, and I'm going to do it one time, and if it doesn't work out, it's her fault. It's not mine.
mm,
No, that person is there to guide you and to tell you, you are only responsible for your success and for your results. That's it. So if you want someone, and same thing if you get a personal trainer,
right.
like if you're
Yeah.
still eating crazy and you working out with them, what do you
Right.
think? when I had a personal trainer, I'd be like, oh my gosh, my arms are so weak. And she's like, that's because you didn't eat good over the weekend. She already knew. She already knew I didn't eat good over the weekend. Here I come in Monday and Tuesday, and I'm trying to lift these weights, and she's like, I'm so weak. She already knew. So if you expect for someone to give you the answers, which, a strategist, they should have a system and how it works. Like for me, I have a kickoff call with all of my clients, and I said, we need to establish what your goals are and what is that you want to accomplish by the end of our time working together. That way I can help you get to that goal.
Right.
But I can only do it, and I make sure it's very clear, if you follow your own, like we're going to create a strategy for you to market your business, but I need you to follow your own strategy. So if we work together and put your strategy together, and then all of a sudden you have it, and you don't do anything with it, then I don't know what to tell you. Now, I'm still going to take your money, but
on your own.
Yeah, I'm still taking that money, but you're going to figure that out, because, I don't want to waste anybody's time, and I don't want them to waste their time.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I find that when they look for a mentor, they have to do the work, and you have to be serious. So a coach, like I said, and then there's coaches and strategists that specialize in generalized, and they just work with anyone, and they don't really generalize what they're doing. There's people who specialize. So you'll have people who specialize in helping you to get more visibility and more, ways to market your business.
Okay.
And then you'll have people who specialize in using certain platforms to market your business. And then you'll have people who specialize in helping take you from, getting to your first 6 figures in business. And I know a lot of people, when I say and I talk numbers, that a lot of people, when they hear people say that they make $10,000 or $20,000 a month, especially those who are military spouses, they automatically shut down. And I want to say that it's very possible to do this as a military spouse. In fact, you should want to do this, because we all know how it is in the military. But abundance and wealth is there for you. It doesn't matter who you are. And you should not disqualify yourself because you're a military spouse. So people hear those when I say like numbers, they're like, oh my gosh, I could never.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
No, you can. And this is why you started a business. Yes, you can. So there's people who help you to make certain amounts of money. But you should definitely be looking for someone that you like their vibe, you like what they're saying, you like what they're talking about. And they will give you a plan, but also work with you to create your own plan. At least that's what I do. And then they trust you, the person, to work it out. So
yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I figured that's I hadn't realized, though, that I hadn't thought about the fact that when you're choosing someone, understanding, do I want a generalist? Do I want a special, do I have this one specific thing I'm trying to accomplish? And should I try to find someone with that skill set versus finding someone who can kind of cover everything and potentially cover things I haven't thought about, so there's probably, I'm sure there's good and bad, not bad, but what I mean, different ways to look at it, just depending on where you're at and what you're looking for. Awesome. So if folks were interested in finding you, how would they do that?
Well, you can go to my website. It's aliciahenderson.biz, or I hang out in my private free community on Facebook. It's the Empirenista Business Incubator with me, Alicia Henderson, or over on Instagram at Alicia Henderson Biz. I share a lot in my Instagram stories, but I usually hang out between Instagram and my private community on Facebook.
All right, so I have another group I need to add. There's so many, but there's so many really good ones. So it's just
so many good ones.
It's a matter of like finding the ones that are the right fit for where you are and what you're trying to do, and where you can contribute and then be invested in as well. So it's they're great. Like the good groups are really just, they're worth their weight in gold, which is free.
There's a lot of good resources in the free ones too.
Oh my gosh!
And just imagine if you when you're in the paid communities, imagine like the gems that they drop in there. Because I know I'm a part of a few, and whew.
No, I really wish I'd found a lot of them sooner, because I really, and until I went to the Make Her event last year, I really just didn't. I wasn't I wasn't as aware of how many resources were out there, how many groups there were, how many people there were just willing to help. until I kind of got in a room with a handful of them. I was like, oh, wow, these people are awesome. So,
Yes.
yeah, fantastic. All right. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. Was there anything else I didn't ask that you want to share or anything before we drop off?
No, that was good. I mean, I think you asked like I couldn't have thought of anything else to add.
Awesome.
So,
Okay. Well, I appreciate it very much. Thanks for hanging out with me.
oh yes, yes, I have. I'm surprised they were quiet, or at least you didn't hear anything.
Not a peep. Everybody doing well. All right. Okay, guys, so that's going to do it for this Pride and Grit Spouse Spotlight. We hope you enjoyed that as we did, as I did. Check us out on Wednesdays. We'll be posting all through the summer with our spotlights. So keep checking back on Facebook and you'll catch those on Wednesdays. Take care.